be speaking of the Vegas line, a 7.5-point favorite. And that even took me a bit back, even considering what they did against Illinois, going to Kinnick, 7.5-point favorite.
Well, they didn't open as a 7.5-point favorite. So that's called bettors overreacting. A. B. Well, you can laugh. I got to be very careful with what I say here, Mark, because
no, you don't.
No, I do, because I don't know either the fine young gentleman you have here at the bottom of the screen, and I'm not coming on here to be some sloppy Iowa homer. So that's why I got to be very careful about what I say. But let me give you some words from the famous and the only guy that I really trust in a situation like this that I know personally, and that's Coach Don Patterson. It's okay to react, just don't overreact. And Mark, you said the same thing about Vegas all the time. This game opened, I think, as a 5.5 spread. I mean, the issue I have, so the problem I have, and the gentleman right below you, Mark, is your name Goom? Is that right? Goom? Goom?
Name Brad, but yeah, stage name Goom.
Okay, all right. I didn't see Brad, and I missed that. I apologize. So the only issue I have with what Goom had to say, Brad, is when you say, well, I was surprised it was a 50-point win, but if it had been 4 touchdowns, I wouldn't have been surprised. Like, you can say that, but the reality is those words just fall on deaf ears for anybody not within the homerism that is Bloomington, Indiana. Because the line opened at 5.5. The line was 5.5 for Illinois, Indiana. Vegas had Indiana as a less than touchdown favorite.
No, the line was like only 3.5.
Okay, you're helping my point. I'm with you. So what I'm saying is I have a little bit of a hard time when I hear somebody say, well, I wouldn't have been surprised if it was a 4-touchdown win. Like, are we being reasonable or are we just being homers here? That's what I'm not trying to come after you guys. I'm just saying, like, that's my reaction to what you're saying. Now, they may come into Kinnick and win Saturday. I want to make that very clear. I'm not coming out with a prediction right now, but I do think we need to, like, pump the brakes. Alec, I had this conversation with you last week. It was a friendly debate. I'd say the same thing again. I'm not here I am not here to deflate your bubble or your balloon. You don't need me, and I'm not even capable of doing that. You guys are on this helium high. All right.
I mean, listen, great. Hold on. I kind of see the angle where this is going, and I kind of want to pause it here because I know, like, the title of this is Big Bad Indiana, and, like, I get it, and it's kind of like, look at these guys.
I'm responsible for that.
I'm with that, but as much as we want to play off the high of the Illinois win, the overwhelming focus, and especially, I mean, from Brad and I, is like we need to flip our focus completely to Iowa because it is not a joke walking into the stadium. And to your very point, and something I tweeted out in reference to us coming on the show, Iowa is not blinking twice about this score this past weekend. They do not care about the result of that game. It has nothing to do with this football game coming up. And that's a hell of an environment they're walking into this weekend. I don't think any Indiana fan is running from the fact that they've had demons specifically in that stadium against that team for a very long time. So while it's been very fun this weekend to celebrate and to throw it back in the national media's face and to essentially victory lap on the doubters, you got to wipe the slate clean because it's all rat poison. Because this Iowa team is like, I mean, this is the Iowa channel. That's why we're here. But they're not pushovers. They don't care.
100%.
Yeah, I mean, again, this isn't. I hope Brad knows I'm not coming after you. I'm not coming after you, Alec. I'm just simply saying I have a real. So first of all, I have a hard time dealing with the. I'm not saying you guys are non-objective, but we have a particular guest who comes on the show every year who covers Iowa State. And Mark, what I get from Levi during 2 shows a year is about fills my cup as far as being able to deal with that level of homerism. All right. So I just wanted to establish that out of the gates that if we're going to be here and act like, well, Indiana's this, and again, I know Mark, you're the one who came up with the title, and I'm not upset about the title or anything, but I'll just give you a couple things to think about. Okay. One being, it is one game. It is one game. Contrary to what Alec had to say last week, I'll say the same thing I said to you last week, Alec, because I still don't buy it. Old Dominion's not a good win, and the other 2 games aren't good wins. Nobody cares about those games. Nobody
you don't
outside
have to
of
acknowledge those wins, but they keep moving up every metric that you want.
They're never better than you think.
No, nobody, but okay.
No, nobody cares. You're right.
Nobody cares. I mean, literally,
And nobody cares they
in
beat Illinois either.
No, they do care about Illinois. That's a good win. That's where you're wrong. That's a good win. What do you mean nobody cares? They were ranked in the top 10. Old Dominion's not going to be in the top 25. If they win the rest of their games, they're not going to be in the top 25.
I disagree.
Okay, well,
I don't
they're
know.
Not going to win they're not going to win the rest of their games, but that's beside the point. Illinois is a good win. Don't sell Indiana short. I'm simply saying,
dude, we will not.
It is one. That's all I'm saying. It's one game, and and I know you guys are believers, but the narrative last year with Indiana was they had a weak Charmin soft schedule, and then they got to the playoff and it got killed. I'm not saying that they were bad last year. I'm just saying I don't know how we're jumping to these conclusions that all of a sudden Indiana's this power. I'm not saying you guys are, but some people are.
No, we are.
Can I talk for a sec?
Yes, go ahead, Brad.
Just to counter what he was saying earlier, the 4 touchdown comment was a little bit of homerism. I was expecting a multiple score game to win, but yeah,
that's fair. That's fair.
I'm glad you called me out on it. Now I know the vibe. All right.
There's a big difference between 10 and 28. Yeah. There's a big difference between 10 and 28. I mean, I would have been shocked if Indiana won by 3 touchdowns, 2 touchdowns. Yeah, either way, I wouldn't. I mean, here's the deal. The other thing we got to keep in mind is not only was it one game, has Indiana played away from home this year?
No, this will be the first one.
I just wanted to clarify that.
That's why we're locked in on Iowa.
Yeah, exactly. They haven't played a single snap outside of Bloomington, Indiana. Not one. So, and you're going into maybe the most difficult environment next to Penn State, maybe Ohio State. I think the Big House is overrated in the conference.
Ohio State traveled to Oregon last year and lost and ended up winning the national championship. So that's a tough environment too. That Indiana,
Oregon was also
in 2-3 weeks.
Oregon was also a really, really good team, and Iowa's probably not really, really good. But I'm just saying it's a very difficult environment. And I'll say this: I went back today. Let me just throw a bone to Indiana because I don't want to act like this is a very difficult game, and very rarely is Iowa ever an underdog at home. So I totally understand why people are predicting Indiana wins this game by a touchdown or more. But let's just be very clear on something. I don't know the last time Indiana has won in Kinnick. I have to go back and look. You guys probably do. 07? Okay.
07.
So we're literally talking 2 decades ago. Now they didn't play a ton during the two division era, right?
They also haven't played under Kurt Signetti, so all of that is irrelevant. But
yeah, Iowa's 9-3 since.
I don't know that you can say it's irrelevant. It's also because it's still a testament to the dominance Iowa exerts on opponents other than Ohio State, Penn State, Michigan at home, regardless of who's head coach. Whether it's Bill Lynch, Tom Allen, it's who was there before, Jerry DiNardo, or I don't care.
I'm just saying don't make the mistake people have been making where you look at Indiana's history and assume they're going to follow their path.
I'm not assuming anything.
I'm
not assuming anything. I'm just giving you evidence. I'm just saying the evidence is that Iowa doesn't traditionally lose to teams like Indiana at home. That's all I'm saying.
This isn't. But the evidence exactly.
Mark, go ahead.
My quick take on what you guys are going back and forth on is that you're both right, because this is how I see it. That Indiana is not Indiana of 1980 or 2015 or whatever year you want to put, but Iowa at home is still Iowa, and I would love to be able to do the research on this, but I believe. It's anecdotal right now, but I do believe that Iowa has the biggest home field advantage of anyone in the conference. If you would take Iowa's results and then match them up against their results home and away over the years, that they have notched the most significant wins at home compared to the level of program, which I would say is in the upper 3 to 5 in the Big Ten. But they have played obviously way beyond that at Kinnick and knocked off some of the best teams in the country.
Well, I was going to say, like last time Indiana had a team worth giving a damn, they walked into Kinnick and Riley Moss introduced himself to the country. And that was the last time we heard of Tom Allen's Hoosiers. So like, again, we're very aware of the environment we're walking into.
Well, and the other thing about Saturdays, this is my perspective from someone who's experienced it on the other end of it. I bring up 2017. Was anybody in the country more impressive in 2017 for an individual game than Iowa when they slaughtered Ohio State at home? And they scored 54. That's what Iowa did in 2017. And what they do the next week, they couldn't score anything against Wisconsin and had like less than 100 passing yards the very next week.